Thank you very much. I will call the Courts and Public Safety Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Here.
Chairman Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Laring.
Here.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Here.
Commissioner Nash.
Here.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder.
Here. We're all here, and the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of March 3, 2020.
So moved.
So
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed, say no. The motion passes. Next item on the agenda is, thank you. Items is public comment on an agenda item. Does anyone in the public have a comment on an agenda item?
I don't see any. We have 58 participants. I don't see any hands.
All right.
Hello,
Oh, here we go.
Me.
All right, go for
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes, I didn't properly identify myself last time. This is Sean Campbell, Muskegon, Michigan. McLaughlin. Sorry about that. In regards to CPS 20/05-19, in regards to the sheriff's office accepting the Bureau of Justice assistance, I'll just say FY20 coronavirus supplemental funding program, ending in -VD. It does very much appear that sanctuary cities and/or counties will not get any such assistance. There is an executive order from the president that sanctuary municipalities will not be getting federal assistance. A policy which this board knows I have repeatedly begged and pleaded at every level of law enforcement in this nation. It really makes sense to not bite the hand that feeds you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments on an agenda item? Seeing none, the first item is CPS 2005-18 from the Public Defender's Office to authorize the Public Defender's Office to enter into a contract with attorney Kristen Gilmore for conflict attorney services on neglect/abuse cases. The contract shall be from February 1, 2020 through September 30, 2020 in the amount of $20,000.
So move.
Support.
Support.
Any questions or comments?
I do have a comment.
Please,
This is Susie Hughes. My question is, it's not a question as much as it is a comment. When they want a contract to go back to February or go back a couple months, I wish they would bring us that when it first starts, rather than ask us to go back farther than we're going forward. That's all.
So I have actually a question about this. Is this a budgeted item for 2020 budget, or will this be an additional cost to the county?
Commissioners, this is Manda Mateer from the Public Defender's Office. It is budgeted. What happened is we had a contract for $30,000 with Lindsay Miller for the fiscal year. She withdrew from that contract in January. So Kristen Gilmore came in to fulfill the remainder of that contract. So this is not additional money. It's the $20,000 is the remainder that we had left after paying Lindsay Miller. And in regards to Commissioner Hughes' comment, and I apologize, Commissioner Hughes, this was something I didn't realize accounting slapped my hand and said I needed a new contract. Miss Gilmore has been doing the work and getting paid, but we needed this new contract for the books. For lack
Okay,
of
thank you. Thank you, Amanda. I also have one other comment if I could. You know, this is for neglect and abuse cases. And I was absolutely stunned when we went into this COVID-19 thing at how many neglect and abuse cases there are and how many children are taken away from their families. They need a place to go for that exact night. And they said between 10 and 15 a week in our county. And that's an outstanding number. It's almost unbelievable that that could even happen. And I really appreciate all you do in helping those kids.
I have a question. This is Marcia.
Please, go ahead.
Yes, 20,000 for I think it's 9 months. Seems like a very low number, and a very low pay level. And I'm wondering if males in the same position get that similar amount.
Well, I will tell you, Commissioner, that the contracts are all even now, and I don't pay them the amount of work they do. This is a very low number. It's not anywhere close to the amount of work they do. But all the attorneys, so Kristen is doing the guardian ad litem work, primarily representing children. Now all 3 of the attorneys that are doing that primarily get paid the same amount. In fact, they're all females. The contracts where we have 3 attorneys representing another parent that the public defender's office does not represent, those contracts are a little bit smaller.
It does not seem like, after you get a law degree, that's an adequate amount of money, but I don't know the environment.
It isn't, and it's obviously not a good time to ask to get them raises considering everything right now. But I will tell the board that there is it's called a Title IV-E grant. The law changed about a year ago where the feds give the DHHS reimbursement funds for children who are what we call Title IV. There's a funding source, whether it's local, state, or federal, when children enter foster care. So on all of those cases that are Title IV-E, the law changed about a year ago, and the Michigan DHHS finally agreed as of January 1st that there is a reimbursement grant, and we have been approved through the circuit court. The circuit court actually had to apply for it, but because of our public defender office's unique situation in Muskegon, I'm helping manage that. And we've been approved for $146,000 for reimbursement this fiscal year.
So that will be added to these very low salaries.
Yes,
increases.
They can give additional billings. I haven't figured out exactly how to add it to the contract on the top yet, but they're allowed to bill for things that mileage, trainings. We've got them. Sometimes we have to do changes of custody in these cases to get the case closed. So they can now start doing some of these extra things for their clients and get paid to do additional things. So there is some extra money there, but we're just getting going on how to spend it and what that looks like.
Okay. As long as somebody's thinking of it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say, well, no, wait a minute. I think we need to go through a roll call, please. Roll call, please.
Mr. Skolnick.
I'm going to vote yes, but I was muted and I wanted to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Make a comment. Maybe let me do it before we vote, since I was the first one. I just want to make sure that what I think is correct. These people have a contract for $30,000 a year. They are not employees of the court. They have practices. they're not employees of the county. So this is like, they have other caseloads. That's not all they get paid. Am I correct? Mandy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. That is correct. That is correct. They can take other cases, although they do spend a lot of time in court on these cases. These cases drag on sometimes 3, 4, 5 years if you're representing children who rights are terminated and we can't find them adoptive home and they age out of the system. They might be in the system for 5, 10 years and you have that client forever. And we do 90-day review hearings on all of them. So I've done both criminal and the family court stuff in my career. And these cases are much more time consuming unless you're comparing, say, a jury trial for a murder. I mean, they're just a lot more time consuming because there's so many players and so much involved. It's not black and white like criminal law, as I would put it. So,
well, for example, younger attorneys take these kinds of contracts to basically get experience, get known, get in the system?
Yeah.
They used to when the system was saturated with new attorneys, but since Cooley's really pulled back in recent years, not so much. I would say the 6 people I have contracts with, and Dave Quartering, Ed Washura Dave Quartering's been doing this for at least 20 years.
Okay.
Ed Washura, probably on and off for probably 10 or 15. The other 4, Mike Flynn is one of my contract attorneys. Now, Mike Flynn just came to me, for those of you who don't know Mike, he is 80 years old, but he just came to me in the last 2 or 3 years, and he wanted to do something that gave back to the community. So these people who do these types of cases aren't in it for the money. They do it because they love it.
Thank you. I vote yes.
Can you continue, please?
Yeah. Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder.
Well, I want to comment that it's a very worthwhile job, and my answer is yes.
That would be 9 yes, sir.
Thank you. Next item. You'll post the agenda, please. CPS 20/05-19 from the sheriff to approve the sheriff's office accepting the Bureau of Justice Assistance fiscal year 20 coronavirus emergency supplemental funding program grant 2020 H1466 Michigan BD. If awarded, the amount of the grant request is $58,008 or the amount awarded.
So moved.
So moved.
Support.
Support.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So do we know the date that this grant became available?
I don't, but did that come up in the discussion by any chance, Mark?
I think Sheriff's on.
Oh,
Sheriff? Or under Sheriff?
Hi, Michael Poole, County Sheriff.
did you hear the question, Sheriff?
I'm not aware of what day it specifically became available. I was notified on April 29th by the county administration grant.
Okay, thank you.
My question would be to the administration then, do you know the date that this grant became available?
I do not. This is Mark. I do not.
Well, my question stems with it. At the end of this motion, it says, due to the timing of the nature of these purchases, the sheriff is requesting permission to purchase the equipment and supplies in advance of approval of the grant. So I'm wondering when the grant was written, why, if he needs the supplies and this grant was available, I'm assuming it's a fairly new grant. But I just disagree with the aspect that he gets to purchase $58,000 worth of equipment prior to approval to this grant. And then if the grant fails, who pays that $58,000?
Well, at this point, I'm not sure that anyone knows, but fortunately, we don't have to address that question. But your point is well taken.
Well,
I can respond to that.
Go
please.
ahead, please do.
I'm just, Commissioner Larian, if you can, what part of the motion is that in, sir?
It's in well, I'm reading it from the full motion on the back page of the agenda. It says, well, I don't know if you need me to read it again, but it says that to purchase this $58,000 in advance of approval of the grant.
I don't see that.
See that anywhere in the motion?
Not in the motion.
I can read the whole motion if you'd like.
I'm holding it in my hand.
Okay,
It's not
Right there. It's on
not
the screen.
a copy.
it's the last sentence in the
Summary.
in the summary.
Mine says in a nature most advantageous to the county. It doesn't say that they can do it whenever that he can do it in advance of awarding it.
Sheriff.
Commissioner Wright's exactly right. Given the circumstances we're under in here, I mean, we just want to be able to get the items that are listed, Grant, and we'll, without going back and forth, the items have already been listed and approved by the DOJ. This grant was made notified to us, like I said, on April 29th. I sent it to the command staff on April 30th, and this grant was approved for everything we asked for on May 1. We were notified yesterday.
Okay, so your purchase, my question is, the equipment is, all this $58,000 worth of equipment is supplied on a DOJ list? They're providing you with a list of equipment you can purchase?
No, we supplied them with what we wanted to get on the grant to purchase.
I'd like to add something.
I'm not finished yet.
Oh,
So
sorry.
why were we not provided with that list of equipment you'd like to purchase?
I have no idea. I was surprised it wasn't there. I'll be more than happy to run through it for you.
Sure, that'd be great.
It's roughly about $9,000 shy of the whole $58,000. There are personnel costs. It's not that much, 5% of a salary of one lieutenant and 1.5% a salary of another lieutenant for work that they'll be doing and have been doing directly related to COVID-19 and projects that we will have. Their fringe benefits are on there also. We're looking to purchase an electrostatic spraying unit, a fogging unit on which we can use to cover, clean the jail, clean cruisers out, our transport out. It delivers a disinfectant solution. It can be used at the JTC in the county building, anywhere. 10 laptops. Them are used as for remote workstations for staff. 4 employee medical thermometers. We actually that's the only item that we already purchased when we were mandated by the executive order by the governor to start taking temperatures at the jail. There's 2 computer monitors for off-site work for my administrative staff, so they can work on spreadsheets and see them better than they can on an iPad. And then supplies for state sanitation, for these equipment, stuff like that. Your Tyvek suits, testing kits, bloodborne pathogen kits, N95 mask, eye protection, gloves, and that list goes on. And then right now we have a temporary sneeze guard barrier in the intake area of our jail. We'll be able to facilitate one for long-term to protect the staff working in that facility. All in all, these items come up to, as quoted, leaving $9,556 on a grant available.
Sheriff, I have a question if I might.
And I have a comment.
Go ahead, Marcia.
Yes, I mean, these are items that will increase the safety of our sheriff's office, and you know, additional costs that they probably didn't plan on. And I think we need to bend over backwards to help them acquire those, and because they need to be safe in the carrying out their job. And that makes us safe.
I agree with that too. Sheriff, I do have a question though. Did you say that you hired new people
No, we did not.
with this?
No.
Okay. And did you give raises or anything with that?
No.
Pardon me?
No, ma'am. The personnel costs are just to cover the time that they're doing the work on COVID-19.
Okay, because we don't, our policy is if you get a raise because of a grant, when the grant goes away, that raise goes away too. I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So I just want, if it's all right, finish my last question. So if the grant's not approved, are we approving the pre-purchase of this equipment and salary?
The grant was approved
The grant's already approved.
Okay, thank you.
on the first.
It says a grant request on the motion though. So it's to apply for a grant request, so.
No, it says to approve the sheriff's office accepting the assistant.
Commissioner Laring, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
The motion covered both to apply for and request permission to accept. I never would have thought that there would have been a turnaround time of us, my staff starting this application on the 30th and us getting approval on the 4th.
Yeah. And that's the state.
Yeah, that is.
Sheriff,
that is-
I appreciate
that
you
is
doing,
good.
I appreciate you rushing to do it too.
Good. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Chairman Hughes,
Yes,
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
9
General-
yes.
Commissioner Snyder, could I ask the sheriff a question, please?
Surely.
Okay, Mike, have you had anybody tested positive in the jail?
You muted out there, so I don't believe I got your question, Commissioner.
I'm sorry.
Can you
What was
repeat
your
your question?
question, Bob?
Oh, I was wondering, has anyone tested positive in the jail for the virus?
You're asking for inmates? That's no.
That's really good. Wow. Okay, thanks.
Any further questions or comments? If you'd repost the agenda, please, for me. I don't think we have anything else in the way of formal business. Old business. Is there any old business? Any new business? New business. Anyone in the public with a comment?
Hey, I have new business. I had my thing on mute, so I apologize for that.
sorry
So this is
about
Mark.
that.
I do have new business.
Sorry about that.
On May 4th, Chief Judge Hicks and Chief Judge Raymond Castrada signed a order requiring those accessing the court services to wear a face mask for those attending the court needs, which is probably 85% of the people attending coming into the building. So the other 15% needs to be addressed. So with your permission, I would like to use their guidance in their order to provide another order from the board stating the same thing as they did yesterday, May 4th. Each of you should have a copy of that as well. But there's still a 15% that we're concerned that this doesn't address. For example, those might be attending the clerk's office on the first floor or sixth floor, someone coming to my office. So we'd like this to make anybody coming in the building are required to have a mask on.
I would make that motion.
And I will second it.
Is there any further comment?
Mark, a question? What if
Yes.
they don't have one? Then they're denied whatever they came for. Are we going to provide masks for those? That
Yes,
don't?
what we're working on right now is to possibly, they cost about 59 cents a piece. Maybe we could sell them for $1, but until we have a mechanism that can sell them, we're going to provide them for the next couple of weeks until we have a way to sell them or a vendor to sell them.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and also I think that we need to advertise this so that people don't come down to the jail without a mask and have to go back.
Right.
Yeah, and the wording on it that I talked today to the judge is a cover over the mouth more than a mask per se, some type of covering. So I'll get that wording out exactly, because some people are making cloth masks, some are making a handkerchief. I've seen handkerchiefs being used. So, and then obviously the masks that are manufactured. So
I'm wondering if it would be better if we did something like a press release so everyone would know.
Yeah, good idea.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have an
And
effective? Mark, do you have a date, the effective date that you intend to implement this, and an end date for it?
The judge's order is dated May 4th, so it's inactive as of yesterday, as soon as they signed it. There is no end date on it that I can see because we don't know how long we have to continue wearing masks based on Kathy Moore's recommendation. So no, I do not have an end date.
I believe Myers is requiring masks now.
Yeah, and so does Walmart.
Okay.
If I could make just a quick comment, I noticed in the news yesterday, it was at a Dollar General, I don't know, some kind of a store where they had somebody at the entrance asking people to wear masks, and they got in a fight, and the man was shot and killed, the guard.
Mr. Commissioner Laring, you have a comment?
Yeah, so I'm actually opposed to mandating this. The governor's executive order does not stipulate that. There's also medical reasons people don't or can't wear a mask. Masks are completely ineffective if you have facial hair. I don't think that we need to be dictating access to our building through masks. There are people that are opposed to wearing the mask. So I don't think this is something that we need to implement at a county level.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, is Kathy still on?
Yeah.
Yes,
Kathy Moore?
yes, this is Kathy Moore.
Would you recommend this?
It's the governor's executive order 2020-70, section 15B. states that any individual able to medically tolerate a face covering must wear a covering over his or her nose and mouth, such as a homemade mask, scarf, bandana, or handkerchief when in any enclosed public space. So I recommend that we follow the governor's executive order. Of course, it's if they can medically tolerate it, and then the only exception would be ages 2 and under, which has proven to not be healthy for the child.
So I did
And
not, if I understand that correctly, Kathy, she also said that no enforcement would take place of this executive order.
That is possible, yes.
I have a comment too. With the judges in the court systems, they come under a different rule than the rest of us, and they have already mandated that the face mask be worn for anybody in the courthouse to use one of their facilities. So I would be in favor of this countywide.
Yeah.
And also the judges work under a separate executive order from the
Yes.
Supreme Court.
Okay. Any
So
further?
this is only for the county building.
Correct.
Correct.
Any further comments?
Actually, would that be just for the county building or county buildings?
Well, South Campus has several people, especially Kathy Moore's office, and also Health West already checks people as they come in as well.
And Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I think when we talk to the public and tell them what they need, we've got to really specify, because there's been times when people have talked about different masks that they can use, but we've got to be specific, because when they come down there, if they come with a bandana or if they come with this or whatever, they've got to know. You know, you don't want them to get there and then you say you can't use that because that's not, you know.
Correct. We need to advertise, and I agree with Kathy Moore that we follow Executive Order 70.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I guess I just want to get clarification. We're just talking about the county building itself only?
Just the county building.
Just a point, if I can, executive order doesn't say just the county building. It talks about any enclosed space.
Right.
So if we're going to do it for the county building as such, probably should be done with all the enclosed spaces.
Negative. The executive order already covers that. I don't know why we're passing an ordinance if the executive order already covers it. We don't need to pass another law. We've already got this, the state's law to contend with. This, the county doesn't need to be implementing more laws.
But we do.
Not following, well, people that are protesting are not listening.
Yeah, and they're not going to
doing
listen when the county says it either. You're just inviting trouble. So I don't know why we would pass something to add insult to injury and have people protesting our county building. They've already got a state executive order that people are upset with. Just at your own discretion, follow the executive order. The county doesn't need another ordinance.
Any other comments?
Well, I agree with Kathy Moore. I think we need to follow the governor's order. I think we have to remember too that when we took the oath of office, we would say we would uphold any type of laws that would be brought forth. And this is an executive order that we're supposed to follow. And I think that if you listen to the governor's comments, they're also looking for the local municipalities or the local counties to begin also taking charge, because they understand that we know what's best for our community also. And this, I think, is another way to step forward. Not only, we have to understand, this is not about trying to make this political. This is about trying to keep people healthy and safety. How can you have something be so upset about some buses, but you're not upset about the county building itself? That's the biggest bus in town. But either way, we have to follow this properly, just like the governor had ordered. And I think it takes good leadership to move in this direction, because we still have people that are not using common sense. And maybe we can help them by doing this, but we're only talking about the public places that the governor has designated. Any enclosed public space, we should have a mask on.
So that's what the governor's executive order states, that you should wear a mask. But where you just brought up MATS, we just got the report from MATS that they're not going to deny service if somebody jumps on the bus without a mask. So,
well, you're switching subjects now.
No, you brought MATS up.
I brought it up, but you're switching subjects. We're talking about the executive order.
The executive order says an enclosed place. A bus is an enclosed place. So
we're talking about the county building, not the buses right now.
Gentlemen, 1 minute. We have a matter on the agenda that is in the form of a resolution, if I recall correctly. Is that correct?
It was motion and supported.
Okay. Would you read back the motion?
This is the motion by Mr. Eisenberg regarding creating an order to address the 15% of those entering the HOJ that the court's order does not cover.
It was not by Mr. Eisenberg. He can't make a motion.
Motion was made by me.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry,
I
it was
seconded
made
it.
by Commissioner Foster and seconded by Commissioner Hughes.
I call for the question.
Okay. All right. Time for a vote,
Roll call, please.
please.
Commissioner
Yes, roll
Wilkins.
call, please.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Hughes.
Yes.
Commissioner Laring.
No.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Yes.
Commissioner Skolnick.
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder.
Yes,
8 yes, 1 no.
the motion
Thank
passes.
you. I have another topic, but it's not necessary to take a vote on it. Just to let you know that we're working on it. The COVID-19 preparedness and response plan, returning back to work. Kathy Moore, myself, the courts, the sheriff's department, everybody's helping putting a plan together. We should have something pretty well drafted by Friday that we can share with the commissioners. I'll probably bring it forward next Tuesday to get some type of approval from the commissioners on that under my report. But to let you know that we are working on a preparedness and response plan to return to work.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the final item, just something for you to think about, is next week is May 12th and May 14th. Hopefully that's our last week, but we don't know that yet for sure. I need to know for direction from the commissioners, which way to go. Do we want to continue with WebEx, or did you like this platform of Zoom?
Zoom.
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 Yeah, I think maybe if we get some feedback from the public, I think they'll probably prefer Zoom. Most of the folks I talked to had difficulty with audio with WebEx. They have experienced Zoom meetings before and seem to be a little bit more pleased with it.
Yeah,
Go
this is a lot of people use Zoom to get together with families, and a lot of people have been learning how to use Zoom and feel comfortable with it. So I think we should go with what the public feels comfortable with and can work better.
John, if I could make a comment on one of the things I noticed at the Ways and Means meeting with WebEx, is it easier or less easy for somebody who's on the phone that's not a commissioner? I mean, just somebody, a citizen, which is easier to get recognized, Zoom or WebEx?
I would think if this meeting was any indication, it's got to be WebEx, because we didn't have much input with this. But I would also like to say, my concern with Zoom is security issues. When Amazon and Google and the state attorney general issues a thing that says they're concerned about the security issues involving Zoom, then I too have security issues. I'd like that thoroughly investigated before we turn our meetings over to that.
So I have a comment about it also, Mark. The banking industry is using Zoom and they're discussing financial matters and client information over Zoom. And I have heard from many individuals that have been trying to make public comment during the WebEx meetings and cannot get through. And we do have a lot of people on Zoom right now. I think that we do need to continue on with Zoom. I'm strongly in favor of it.
You have
Any
one
other comments?
Yes, you have one participant raising their hand, Tony.
Okay.
I
It's
think,
not public comment right now, though.
wait, I think Ann wants to.
Well, that's all I have. So if you want to go to public comment, thank you.
Time to go to public comment. Anyone in the public wish to comment?
I do when you get time.
Tony, did you have a question? You have to mute yourself. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to, you guys getting that feedback?
Terrible.
Yeah. Turn your phone off.
Is that better?
Are you logged in through two different places?
How about that? Sorry.
There you go. Much better.
I apologize. So I just want to, at least let the commissioners know that I appreciate their consistency with respect to this coronavirus and the executive orders from the government. I do want to point out the hypocrisy coming out of District 5. They want to sit there and say that we don't need an ordinance to enforce this executive order. Well, where was this same mentality when they're bringing a Second Amendment sanctuary county, which is already protected by the Supreme Court of the U.S.? The hypocrisy in District 5 needs to go away. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Any other comments from anyone?
John, Ann.
Yes,
Ann
Michael had
wants
a
to
comment
speak.
as well.
Hi, Ann Derwin. Yes, number one, I want to say that the motion that you just passed regarding, or the ordinance you just passed regarding the face mask, I think it's redundant. The governor has already done it, but you've done double work here. So I just wanted to say that. And also the last meeting, terrible. I mean, with WebEx, oh my gosh, I became so frustrated. And I did make a comment finally at the very end under public comment. But when I went to listen to the meeting, I couldn't listen to it because it was all shrieks and interference. And the public comment at the end, it was absolutely silent. So want to let you know about that. And I would encourage you to keep this Zoom. This was great today. We could see all of you. I could hear everything. I think a couple commissioners probably had not muted their microphones a couple of times. But I mean, this was a great meeting today as far as the public being able to interact. And Susie, as far as, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to call you Susie. Anyway, we probably didn't interact because there wasn't much to say. I didn't have anything to say with the other things, but I just wanted to say thank you for Zoom. Just thank you.
Other comments?
Sean's waving his hand.
Yes, Sean Campbell, 360 McLaughlin. Yeah, I fully appreciate Zoom. I've had problems with WebEx myself. A lot of that might have been my own not getting along with it, but I build my own software. I literally coded this thing pretty much all myself with help from others, and I have Zoom natively installed from their website, so it's just that great for me. Secondly, in regards to redundancy and hypocrisy, let's have more redundancy in regards to rights and not restrictions. That seems really obvious, especially when we're talking about 2A or 1A. Secondly, yeah, I refuse to wear a mask. I'd rather live free or die, personally. And yeah, I think we need limited government because men are not angels, and we need. Yeah, I'll just say that because that's the final point. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, Michael Hawes in Muskegon, Michigan. I vote for us keeping Zoom. This works out, this platform is so much better than the WebEx. And you were talking about with the judges and so on. Does that mean that the county building is now open to where we can get into the county clerk's office?
This is Mark. Can I answer that question real quick, just so we have
Surely.
clear on that? No, it's by appointment only, but we're making this preparedness plan for when we do open. If it doesn't change, that's going to be the 18th. If we don't get another executive order, stay home between now and the 15th, we'll have a slow transition of bringing people back. We should have more information on that at our full board meeting. But the people that are currently coming in is because they have a court date with a judge.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Oops.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on that. When Kathy mentioned that our peak is going to be the 18th to the 22nd, that seems like we're rushing it a little bit. That we need to be mindful of what's going on in the environment. And if that's the peak, that's not when we should be opening up the county. Just saying, I know I don't like it either, but this is a terrible.
Well, it's not a choice that we're going to make. So at this point, I think that we will not debate that.
Okay.
Any other comments?
You have one more raising their hand, James Kelly.
Yeah, James Kelly, MSU Extension.
Surely.
I would certainly agree Zoom is a great platform. I would just encourage the host to really pay attention to the settings prior to the meeting. And just to give you an example, let's see. You can see my screen now, correct?
Yes, beautiful.
That's very dangerous. So there are lots of settings that will make sure your security is where you want it to be prior to next Tuesday, because you don't want your average person on the meeting to be able to do what I just did. So if it's Kathy Tharp, if anyone needs some assistance with that, we would certainly be able to assist. And I'm sure that Zoom has some really good guidelines on just making sure your pre-meeting settings are kind of set to optimum security levels.
We would appreciate that, sir.
Thank you, James. Appreciate that.
I had a question on this.
Go ahead, Charles.
Do we have someone controlling this like we did with WebEx?
Yes, we have 3 people working on it. We have Health West helping us. This is their license that we're working off of. We also have Kathy Tharp and Kristen Barnhart all monitoring this.
Okay, because what I've been noticing throughout these meetings is I keep hearing a lot of background noise, and someone's been clearing their throat all the way through these meetings. And
that's a construction right there.
And I keep hearing like a drill, and I'm trying to figure out why we keep hearing all these.
Right, and I agree, and I hear backup bumpers like you're on a construction
Yeah,
site.
backup alarm.
The backup.
I believe it's
is,
Commissioner Skolnick.
Construction equipment.
So some of the background noise is me. I am on a construction site. I've been trying to mute my thing with some of this, so I have to apologize about that. But
I recognize that, Zach.
Could I make a comment too? Zoom, I'm not against Zoom, but Zoom really was more of individual, personal site for doing this, and there are so many other ones. There's Microsoft Teams, there's GoToMeeting, there's a half a dozen ones that are set up by more business-like companies, like what just happened there when someone posted a photo. That's the reason that happened. There was a big uproar. Somebody posted some pornographic pictures in a classroom, and they don't know who did it. But I'm a little concerned about that.
That's a very simple setting, actually, under the share feature, and you can turn it off so only the hosts are allowed to share.
Okay.
I think
just
if
to
we
let you
had
know, I
the
did the
same,
same thing last week with WebEx. I changed my background to Lake Superior, and some of you have seen that before the meeting started. So you're
right,
allowed
and
to.
that came right off of their site too.
Yeah.
I would like to, I would like to
John?
suggest that we examine other platforms. There are a number of them out there. Zoom is a Chinese platform, and I know from a factual standpoint that it has experienced some real difficulties.
And,
So
and I'd like to
I
say
think we
too,
just ought to
we
look
had
at.
we had 2 or oh, go ahead, John. I'm
Ask a
sorry.
question. But Mr. Skolnick, just want to mention East Buffer. I'm on the school board. We had several meetings so far with Zoom, and we had closed sessions in and out of 2 different closed sessions. It had no issue whatsoever. So I just want to point that out, that's what we have been using up at East Buffer right now. So thank you.
Okay.
And I think whatever we go to, we need to have a work session so we understand it better. We never did get a work session on WebEx, but we did have a couple to get us ready for Zoom. And I think that's an important thing when you got 9 people that are not familiar with any one of these very much. We should have had a work session, and we need one if we do anything else too.
Well, I think we need to keep an open mind and get at the rest of them. Take a look at some of the other options that are available. Anything further?
Yes.
Yes, there's one more question.
Yeah.
I have a question. Whoever is hosting this, do they realize or have they told people about the raise the hand virtually? That's what I've done. I raised my hand virtually and nothing happened. No one, the host didn't answer.
Yes, we can all see it, just waiting for an opportunity to
that's what
allow
I
you
wanted.
in. That's how Mark knew you had your hand raised.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Mark, I've got one more question and kind of an input to this. If this is not going to continue indefinitely, and we've already got the licensing agreement with Zoom, I'm assuming Health West deals with some confidential information on some of their Zoom meetings. It's not like we're dealing with trade secrets. These meetings are public information. It's not like we've got top secret information. We're worried about China stealing from these Zoom meetings. And it's just a platform that the public can use. And it's good enough for JP Morgan Chase to discuss in-depth client information. I think that we don't need to spend a lot of time looking for a new resource when we've already got a license agreement with this one we can use. This isn't going to last, but at the very most, a couple more weeks, and we're going to be going back to business. So I think we don't need to investigate a new one, and the public certainly can use this site better than they can WebEx.
Good point, Zach. I agree with you after my comment. Anything further? Seeing none, we are adjourned.